Hey guys, welcome back. Game 81 of the regular season for you today against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I thought whilst we're watching, we should be talking about Joe Pavelski and his new deal with the San Jose Sharks. It's a 5-year deal worth $30 million, so you can work that out pretty easy. That it's $6 million a year. So that's the second of the core younger players that the Sharks have now locked up. They've got Logan Couture now signed for the same amount of money as Joe Pavelski at $6 million, starting from next year. And that's when Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau's contract runs out. So they'll probably be looking to re-sign them at a little bit less than what they're on. Big Joe's on just over 7 and Marleau's on 6.9. I would imagine Marleau to come down more towards Pavelski and Couture, maybe about 6.3 for 3 years possibly for Marleau. And then we got to take into account that Brett Burns is also now classed as a forward, and I think he's 5.75 on the cap hit. So what the Sharks have basically done is locked up who they deem to be the two big centres going forward for them. You know, Joe Thornton's not going to be around forever. So by locking up Couture and Pavelski, they've locked up some of the younger core players who they're going to need going forward. Joe Thornton's not going to be around forever, nor's Marleau. So they needed to get these guys locked up, and I think they've done it at a good price, especially Logan Couture. Pavelski's getting the money he probably deserves, but Couture could be a steal. For me, he is one of my favourite players to watch in the West, and I think I've said it before. And for me, he's someone who is a superstar, just waiting to break out. When you put him on lines with the likes of Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau, or Martin Havlat, or whoever it may be, he always makes the line better. He'll always give and give and give as much as he can. And you know, he's a good guy by the sounds of it as well. You know, like when he got absolutely deked the hell out by Datsuk, he tweeted him funny comment. I can't remember what it was, but it was very funny. You know, it doesn't take himself too seriously. So by locking up Pavelski as well, it means that they don't have to worry about that next summer, and for the entirety of the season, they can concentrate on talking to Thornton, talking to Marleau, and looking to get them at a price that, you know, like a hometown discount basically, so that they can remain under the cap and maybe create a bit of cap space for next year. I would imagine that they will be looking to move Havlat eventually. You know, his move hasn't worked out as they probably hoped. Because of the injuries and just not quite performing to the level that they were probably expected. So I would imagine that they'll be looking for a D-man eventually as well. You know, Marc-Edouard Vlasic is a good player, but he's someone who I reckon they could move eventually. And they will need a successor to Dan Boyle on the blue line. The Sharks are a team I really like. You know, they've stuck by the core players for a number of years now. They've added good players into that, such as Couture. And they're really a team that you have to respect the general manager of, because he's got them to a conference final. They always make the playoffs. They're always there or thereabouts. They just keep falling a little bit short. And he has faith in this team to continue, go on, and win a Stanley Cup. And I think he's right to, because all this team needs is just a couple of the guys to step up. You know, Pavelski's a playoff performer. We know that. You know, he's done it before. Couture is a playoff performer. They need Marleau. They need Havlat. They need Thornton. They need him to step up in the playoffs, because it's no good just having one line going. You've got to have at least 2 lines going. You know, it can be your 4th line, chipping in with some goals. You know, it could be your 3rd line. You know, now they got Tyler Kennedy, they can they'll have a bit of energy coming from the from the third line now. So Rafi Torres as well gives you energy. So they're a team that I really think should be challenging for a couple more years before they go into rebuild mode, possibly. But they're probably not going to want to go into rebuild mode. What they're going to want to do is then look at when, say, Thornton and Marlowe go, they're going to look to pick up free agents that summer and remain a team which is challenging for the cup and for the playoffs, basically. So guys, that'll wrap it up for episode number 32 and game 81 of the regular season there. So episode 33 will be the last game of the regular season, game 82. And then episode 34 will be a season wrap-up, looking at the stats. And then from episode 35 onwards, it is the playoffs, Eastern Conference quarterfinals, game 1. Episode 35. I hope you're ready, boys, because I'm nervous as hell to play these games, because I want to get through and I want to win that Stanley Cup. So, boys, I hope you have a good one, and I shall see you next time.